Thank you all for coming. I know times have been tough, but I have gathered all of you, my most trusted patrons, for a special job. There are but a few of us, but I know that you are the best of the best, and I cannot do this without you. So what say you? Are you in?
Hell, it's about time.
That is right, baby, I am back! And I'm going to be doing a small little mini-series in the X4 Star Wars Interworlds mod. Why? Well, because this mod is freaking sexy, that is why. If you don't know what Interworlds mod is, it's actually a total conversion of X4, turning the game into a Star Wars short creaming experience. Full of different Star Wars factions, systems, ships, and oh my lord, just this mod is sexy, you just need to check it out. So, to keep things fair and interesting, I'm going to be setting up some rules for this mini-series. First rule, I am only going to be starting with my YouTube members / Patreon ships, which I have like, I think 12 of. I don't know why these people keep supporting me, I have no idea. Second rule, the ship size will of course vary depending on the membership type. However, I cannot pick the specific ship myself. I have to run the size appropriate ships for each member through a random picker, such as like this. This will also keep things fair, so I'm not tempted to just select the biggest and baddest, most voluptuous ships. And the third rule, no starting money. This is so I can't just go in and buy the best ships in the game, and I have to be creative with how I'm going to make some of that sweet cashola. Now, this is a lot, however, this isn't the end of the troubles. Each episode needs a challenge that these 12 poor ship captains and pilots will have to see if they have the moxie for. This episode we have a special job, a job for only the best of the best, the bravest, the smartest, and perhaps the most idiotic. Can we hijack an Imperial Star Destroyer with only 12 ships? Run the cool heist music. Well, the dice roll for the fleet wasn't exactly what I hoped for. We have a wide variety of ships, and luckily we have a lot of attack craft, which makes going after the Star Destroyer a bit easier. However, we have a carrier with only like 2 fighters to carry, and the thing can't even fit medium-sized ships in it. Also, we have one fighter that's a tugboat more than a fighter, and we have like a freaking mining ship. Not too sure what to do with that ship, really honestly, at the moment. Now, with this fleet, it would be absolute suicide to charge in and just try to take a Star Destroyer, and I know this by being a competent military strategist and not by already sending my fleet into its doom to see how it would fare earlier. No, of course, I wouldn't be that dumb. Yeah, so no head-on attacks, that would be stupid. So this little ragtag group would need to play things a bit more cautiously. First off, let's look at some of the strengths and weaknesses of this fleet. Our fleet had decent firepower, like the Navidium won a Caldabi class battle cruiser. I don't even know if I said that right. Just be aware I'm going to butcher every name in this. Not enough to really, though, go toe-to-toe with a Imperial Star Destroyer and its escorts and fighter support, but we could handle smaller to medium engagements. We lack a good ship number, obviously. Like, we only have 12. We will be outnumbered in most of our engagements. However, this does have a plus. We were relatively agile, with a low number and most of our ships being able to dock with the help of the Pleistarchus, our Quasar carrier, or pretty much being speedy. We were able to outmaneuver most of our large targets. We have the Babylon, which is the mining ship, and while many may view this as a weakness, I see this as a strength. This gives us a way to start making some money in the background. A passive income will be paramount right now. These credits would pay for the repairs and the rearming of my ships, plus the Babylon mining vessel would have a very special role in some future plans for this fleet. However, the best perk of this fleet was its crew size. Most of the ships allowed for a large amount of crew on board, so while I will be sacrificing service crew, this would mean I could flood the holds of my ships with Marine boys ready to do some boarding. The trick would be getting them to the Star Destroyer without getting them blown out of the sky first. I couldn't take a Star Destroyer on in outright combat and boarding. My ships would be pretty much overwhelmed by the Star Destroyer and its escort ships. Also, the more I cased out Star Destroyers, the more I realized they traveled in fleets, and rarely by themselves. This was going to be tough. So in order to GTA ourselves a Star Destroyer, I would need to be able to accomplish the following. Find a way to isolate the Star Destroyer, be able to deal with the Star Destroyer's deployable fighters, and find a way to lower the Star Destroyer's shields and destroy its guns fast, so I could board and steal the destroyer before the Empire knew what was going on and just come and reinforce its ship. This meant I couldn't have a prolonged battle. No slugfests, just battering away with my ships until the ISD gave up or was boarded. No reinforcements would be swarming us before we even got the shields down. How could we take down the shields and the weapons of an ISD, board it, and ditch the area before the alarms all went off? And that's when it hit me. We could accomplish most of my plan with EMP and spacesuit bombs. That's right, if I managed to get close enough to the ISD, load it up with EMP bombs and spacesuit bombs, mostly targeting primary systems like weapons, engines, and shields, I could essentially disable the Star Destroyer, leaving its fighters to be mopped up by the rest of my fleet. But could this plan really work? Well, only our little fleet was mad enough to find out, so we got to work. First off, I would need credits. Credits to purchase marines, bombs, and crafting materials. Anyone who knows anything about EMP bombs and spacesuit bombs in X4 would know that they are a pain to find. Sometimes it would just be easier to construct and craft them yourself, so this was going to be the most consuming part of all of this. However, money was needed to purchase the crafting parts, or bombs if you were lucky enough to find them. So I had to find a way to make credits fast, and unfortunately the little amount the Babylon was making from mining was not cutting it quick enough, so a get-rich scheme was concocted. So being an outlaw fleet, I set out and did what we did best. We began stealing smaller ships. This was done by using a bait ship. Remember how I said the mining ship would come into play later on? Well, this was its time to shine. I had filled this mining ship's holds up with platinum and left the mining ship in the middle of a pirate-infested system. My fleet was too slow to hunt down the pirate groups down on its own. However, with the bait mining ship, those poor suckers came to us. As the pirate ships would come in to check on this poor, helpless mining vessel and reap its spoils, our fleet would emerge from the shadows and reap the pirates instead. We would engage the smaller pirate attack groups and either force them to eject, leaving their ships, or be destroyed. Which worked out, I guess, either way for us. We were getting rid of the competition, plus we would just pirate the pirates and steal their crud, which honestly had a lot of the components to make the bombs themselves, so hey, I'll take what I can get. Soon, business was booming, literally and figuratively. While yes, keeping these pirated ships in the fleet would be beneficial, it would take a copious amount of smaller ships to tango with a Star Destroyer. Our plan was a fast and quick strike, not a prolonged space battle with fleet-on-fleet battle. Plus, we still lacked the Marines needed to take the Star Destroyer, so it would be kind of useless for us to overwhelm the Star Destroyer with fighters only to fail in the boarding. It was more beneficial to sell the smaller pirated ships to get the credits needed for the EMPs, bombs, and Marines. Soon, all the pieces of the plan were coming together. We were beginning to hoard EMP and spacesuit bombs. We had the buff boys ready to stomp some stormtroopers, and now we even had a target. I had spotted a smaller fleet consisting of a single Star Destroyer and a couple small Victory class Star Destroyers as escorts. Most of these Imperial fleets had this setup, however, with the addition of an Imperial Interdictor class Star Destroyer. The lack of the Interdictor meant that if things got hairy, we could jump away. Interdictors had this nasty AoE attack that blocked travel drive, and the one missing from this fleet was an opportunity we could not miss. Now it was time to move. The fleet was ordered to follow the Imperial Star Destroyer from a distance. While this was taking place, I took one of the smaller fighters and scanned the Star Destroyer. They did not like this, but seemed particularly distracted with other things at the moment to truly care. "Sir, somebody is scanning our ship." "Yes, I am aware. They have sent the most intriguing message. Behold its glory, Lieutenant." The scan gave some important details about the Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer was fully crewed with 366 confirmed on board. The scan did not indicate, however, how many were service crew and how many were stormtroopers. We had just over 200 Marines ready to board, so it would kind of be a gamble. Hopefully the majority of the crew on the Star Destroyer would be service and not an obstacle for our battle boys. The thumbs up to proceed was given, and soon the stealth portion of the mission commenced. Our saboteurs would be dropped off by a smaller ship and drift in spacesuits around the ISD, placing EMPs and bombs across the Star Destroyer. More than 30 of each sort of bomb was scattered across the ISD's guns and engines. What are these blokes doing?
I think those are the Christmas light installment guys. They're early this year.
The EMPs would disable the shields, then the spacesuit bombs would disable the ship's defenses and engines, trapping the ISD behind with my fleet. One of the major flaws with the Imperial Star Destroyer is most of its weapons are positioned along the port and the starboard sides of the ship. While the nose had a little protection as well, the backside of the ISD was essentially unprotected. This is where my fleet was left. Once the bombs went off, the Imperial Star Destroyer would be left dead in the water, or space, and if any of those turbo lasers and defenses were left, they would be unable to hit my fleet. This would force the Imperial Star Destroyer to send its fighters to engage my ships instead, which shouldn't be too much of an issue without the support of the Star Destroyer's weapons. Then my troops would be able to launch and board the Star Destroyer without having to worry about being shot out of the sky by the nimble little TIE fighters. Everything was in place. The ships were ready and the Marines were frothing at the mouth. It was now or never. So when the Imperial Star Destroyer's escort ships began pushing to a new location and the Star Destroyer began to fall behind, the bombs were activated. The Star Destroyer careened to a halt as the bombs and the EMPs went off. This was a good sign. The bombs had done their job. The engines were damaged enough to stall the Imperial Star Destroyer in place. As the ISD began scrambling its TIE fighters, it was also confirmed that the majority of the Star Destroyer's weapons and defenses had been disabled, just as predicted. But we weren't out of the woods yet. We were now in the middle of a battle with the Imperial Star Destroyer and its forces, right in the middle of an Imperial-held sector. The order was given to start the boarding action. The TIE fighters were busy fighting our fleet, which was doing a good job distracting them and pulling them away from the Star Destroyer, so I figured we would have no better chance than now. We did it! Oh man, I can't believe we did it. Honestly, I mean, of course we did it. It wasn't like I was panicking the whole time, trying not to cry. We just managed to take a Star Destroyer with 12 ships. There is a solemn side of this. We lost one ship, the Dark Matter, which is truly unfortunate. We almost made it through this whole job with 0 casualties. Dark Matter, you fought bravely to the bitter end. May we all remember Rev the Sith Lord and the others aboard the Dark Matter who gave their lives so valiantly so we could achieve our mission of taking the Star Destroyer. It was with their sacrifice that we managed to complete the most daring heist this side of the Outer Rim. Rev, you beautiful Sith Lord, you will be missed. Until the next episode. That was incredible. The EMP and spacesuit bombs worked so much better than expected. Was it really worth the hours and hours of farming material to build them? Probably not. However, I really wanted to see if we could pull this off with just our Patreon and YouTube membership ships. Color me pleasantly surprised. If you want more Interworlds, let me know. Also, let me know what faction you want me to play as next and what our next objective will be. Each episode will be unique and separate from the last unless you really kind of want me to have one progressive save, but that is what my other X-Force series is for, so I don't know if I want to have 2 of those rolling at the same time. I will be continuing the other series, so just don't worry your pretty little selves. Thanks for watching, and do the typical YouTube crap like subs, comments, yada yada yada. Check out my Discord. It's a fun place to chill during these end times, and I'll be there if you just want to talk. Also, if you want to be in my next episode, check out my YouTube memberships or Patreon. Those will guarantee you being part of the upcoming series. And if not, hey, no pressure, it's okay. Just a comment, thumbs up, or a cyber hug is more than welcome. I love you. Thank you again. Stay safe, know you are loved, and please be kind to one another. Peace.